Ladies and gentlemen, it's a tale as old as time. The tortoise versus the Buckeyes? Terps, Buckeyes. In the building behind me.
Wait a minute, he'll read anything you put on the cue card.
I'm Ron Burgundy. This is Bold Predictions. Let's get into it, Tim. Bold prediction number one.
Okay.
40-year vet Tim May. Andy Baxter, Spencer Holbrook. I was told earlier this week I'm too serious. Now you're getting the unserious, Spencer. And this is an unserious program that we like to call Bold Predictions. Tim, go ahead.
What am I doing? The
Bold prediction,
for the
of
whole
course.
Game?
Tim, it's week 5. You got to know this stuff. Come on.
You know, I'm 69, man. I think it's showing. My bold prediction for the game is...
You could be a politician.
Is Kyle McCord picks up where he left off. There is, as they say in the Army, there's hash to be made against this Maryland defense in the throwing game if you give Kyle McCord time. I think Kyle McCord is going to have another great, instead of drive or a couple of drives, he's going to have a great game. I'm kind of stammering because I don't know if he's going to play 3 quarters or 4. That's up to Maryland, if you follow my drift.
Yeah.
Maryland's offense. But I think Kyle McCord's going to have a great game.
What is the prediction, though?
Minimum 4 touchdown passes.
4 touchdowns? All right, that'd be a career high. Andy?
I think Ohio State's going to get it done on the ground. This Maryland team, they don't give up a ton of yards on the ground, but Mike Loxley talked about it this week. They've not been good on early downs defending the run. Ohio State, I know, is only 82nd in rushing offense success rate right now, but I think that this is a week where they put it all together, and I think that they run for 200 yards or more against Maryland, and I think that actually helps them in terms of playing the game the way they want to. They don't need to play it to the way, like Notre Dame dictated the clock in that last game. Ohio State's pretty far down in the Big Ten in time of possession. I think that changes starting this week against Maryland.
I don't think Ohio State gives a you-know-what about time of possession. They give, I'm just saying what I think. And by the way, I look at Ohio State as kind of like the United States of America's military. They have a great Army. They have great Marines, but they are not going to leave their Air Force out of any conflict. So you see what I'm saying? The best Air Force in the best Air Force in the world. I'm just going to stand by my prediction.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a war in the bold predictions.
So to speak.
Tim and the U.S. military against Andy with his air raid and the ground attack. I am going to go on the defensive, if you will, and predict that Ohio State has 4, count them, 4 turnovers of Taulia Tagovailoa.
Turnovers. All right.
Guys, when he plays good defenses and he gets pressured, he is prone to turning the ball over. JT Tuimoloau has 10 pressures. Jack Sawyer has 10 pressures. Mike Hall has 7 pressures. Those stats all courtesy of Andy Backstrom, courtesy of PFF that we looked up before this video was filmed. Those guys could get after the quarterback. Jim Knowles talked about coordinated pressure, coordinated blitzes. That means that I think they're going to try to get after Taulia in new ways, in different ways to keep him in the pocket. If he stays in the pocket, he ain't great. If he gets out of the pocket and he's still got pressure coming up his, he ain't great. So I think Ohio State's going to be able to get to him. Maybe
coming up his rearview mirror.
Let's go 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. I think Ohio State's going to get to him in different ways. I think they're going to show some of those simulated pressures, some of those blitzes that Jim Knowles has talked about having in the back pocket early and often, get him rattled and force 4 turnovers.
Clarification, you mean 4 turnovers totally directly attributable to him.
Sure.
To Taulia Tagovailoa.
Yeah. And maybe one by somebody else.
Tagovailoa. Okay.
Who knows? Okay. Tim, offensive player of the game.
Offensive player of the game. Well, I'm just going to stick with it. Kyle McCord. He's going to have that. He's going to have that game. He's going to throw a minimum 4 touchdown passes. Why would I pick somebody else if I think he's going to have that great of a game? So, Kyle McCord, quarterback.
Just when you think we forgot about him, we talked to Chip Trainum today. We talked a lot about Travion Henderson. Maya Williams back in the conversation. I don't know. I think he'll get a couple touchdowns just because, just because they've got 5 running backs that can all score and run the football pretty well. We really only see 3 per game. I think mine's still in the mix here. I think he gets a couple.
Touchdowns.
You should campaign on that. Andy Backstrom.
Well,
just because.
He had a couple in the opener against Indiana.
I just don't think there's going to be a rhyme or reason. I think that, Travion's RB1, but I think that these guys are going to take turns scoring this season. I think that's just the way it is.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to go a little haywire, if you will.
Kate Stover?
Carnell Tate. is my offensive player of the game. I think Ohio State will be able to run the score a little bit and dictate the offense a little bit. I think there's going to be, I'm not going to predict like a pitch count for Marvin Harrison Jr., but he said that the ankle injury was worse than it was last year. And if he doesn't have to play every rep, he shouldn't play every rep. You should get him in there when you need him. You should get him his stats. I would assume he's good enough to run, considering he's on the Monarch machine as we talk. He's going to be able to catch a few passes, maybe get a couple touchdowns and get out of there. And then you got Carnell Tate there, who needs the reps, who's played in 4 games already. He's going to burn that red shirt on Saturday. That looks to me like he could start to show that he belongs in the rotation a little bit. So give me Carnell Tate as the offensive player of the game, Tim.
Okay.
Now you got to go defensive player of the game, Tim. We're going full 180 here from offense to defense.
Can I go tandem on the defense? But it's got to be a single player, right? I'm going to keep going.
I'll allow it.
I'm going to keep going into this area. Something's got to give with Mike Hall and Tyleik Williams. Tyleik Williams had a great game at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Tyleik Williams has gotten out of the gate. You know, he's getting talked about, for want of another term, more than Mike Hall is at the moment. Mike Hall was talked about more than Tyleik Williams was going into the season. I just think Mike Hall is ready to step up and step out, wherever it is you're going to be doing, chasing Talia Tungavaloa and keeping the Hemby kid, the running back, in check. I'm going, once again, on the interior of the defensive line, which, by the way, will make the difference in the final analysis of how great a defense this really turns out to be, or if it does. So I'm going with Mike Hall having a game.
I'm going Denzel Burke, and not because he's going to pick off a pass or anything. I don't know if they're going to throw at him. And then that's a reason enough to pick him, because that's so valuable for a team to have a corner like that. Notre Dame was the first game where they really only targeted him once. Before that, I think he had been targeted 17 times through 3 games. So look, teams are taking notice. Denzel Burke can be a shutdown corner. Ohio State's needed that for a couple of years now. Denzel Burke looks like that, and that can help, going back to what you said about pressures, and Mike Hall and all those guys. Coverage sacks, they're a thing, especially when you play a quarterback like Talia Tungavaloa, who's so good on play action, extending plays outside of the pocket. Well, coverage sacks come into play if you're dropping 8, or if you're just playing man-to-man typically. You got a guy like Denzel Burke who's locked down. That's huge.
Yeah, and you just touched on it about why I didn't pick a defensive end again. Although I think Tui Moloau is playing extremely well. Sawyer has really picked up his game, in my opinion. But they've got to be concerned about not letting him get outside. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about Tungavaloa. So that kind of takes a little bit of the octane out of their jet fuel.
Give me Jordan Hancock. Going to play in the slot, going to play a lot. And somebody's got to pick those passes off from Talia Tungavaloa. Jordan Hancock maybe grab his first interception of the season there for the Buckeyes. I think it's possible, so I'll take him as my defensive player of the game. He's playing really well, and he and Davis Igvenosin are 2 of the most physical corners I've seen here since the Shaun Wade, Jeff Okudah tandem that played side by side in the slot and on the outside. I think Denzel Burke is the leader and the best corner on the roster, but if you talk about physical, you're talking about a Jeff Okudah, Shaun Wade, and the comp there is the Davis Igvenosin, Jordan Hancock. They will get after you guys, and they won't get after you guys, but they will get after you, guys.
They might.
The collective you, as in like the rest of the Big Ten. I don't think they fear anybody. They're definitely not going to fear this Maryland passing attack. And I think he's going to get his hand on a couple footballs.
The only thing I'll say about that is I really think if their interceptions are going to come, it may come from the safety area, based on what I've watched.
Well,
just because Hancock's locked up with a guy, Burke is locked up with a guy. Igvenosin a lot of times is locked up with a guy. Those tip balls, those overthrows, or whatever.
Got to get those.
That's where this defense has excelled. Is they're playing their positions, they're playing their responsibilities, and there's almost always a safety lurking out there now, which could pay big dividends in this game.
Tim,
but I'll stick with my pick, my call.
And I'll stick with my pick, Jordan Hancock. Tim, now that
Williams should have had a pick last week.
Now, Tim, you have to tell us what the final score of this football game is going to be.
We're going to do that.
Yeah, an old Rock'em Sock'em
Week,
slugfest
right?
in the horseshoe. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with a number I like, just because I think it sounds good. It's 45-13. 45-13, Ohio State. Maryland may get 3 field goals, so it'll be 45-13 or 45-16. And I was totally wrong last week. I picked 34-24 at Notre Dame, but they had the opportunities.
Look, I think Maryland is a good football team. I think Maryland's going to beat a Big Ten East power this
Yes.
season. I don't think it's Ohio State, but they do get Penn State and Michigan at home late this season. So that's something just to watch for. But I think as far as Ohio State's concerned, I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I'm saying 38-17 Ohio State. I don't think they're dipping into the 40s just yet. I don't think they need to. I just don't think this team needs to do that. I think that this defense is really good enough to the point where if you score even 24 or more, you're probably good in a season like this. Now the CFP, if you get there, is a different conversation. But
Yeah, they were thinking that last year until a couple things happened.
yeah, right now at least, I'm feeling
I'm talking about
comfortable
against
with this
Maryland.
defense.
Yeah.
38-17.
That was a crazy game last year.
I do think Ohio State will be able to score when it not like a Western Kentucky like they score when they want to, but almost like a score when you want to, just for lack of a better word. I think Ohio State's going to be able to score quite a bit on this Maryland defense. I'm going to go 41-20. I don't feel great about the 20 from Maryland, especially if I'm the same person predicting 4 turnovers. Like, how do you get to 20 with 4 turnovers when the clock runs the way it does? So I don't think that's possible. Well, then I'll just go 41-14. I think 41-4 there. I changed my score for a little bit.
I think I copped out picking Cal McCord, the offensive player of the game, only because I think he's going to have a really good game. And I'm not changing my pick, but boy, I just keep
Sounds
thinking
like you
about
are.
Emeka Egbuka, man. You talk about what that game did for Cal McCord. Just think about what that game did for Emeka Egbuka from an awareness standpoint nationally, and we all knew better. He's not running second man behind Marvin Harrison Jr. They're both exceptional ball players. I would love to change my pick, but I'm going to stick with the guy who's going to be throwing the ball to all those guys.
Tim.
Cal McCord, offensive player of the week.
Tim, what's your favorite candy bar?
It used to be Payday. Now I don't eat candy bars.
So it used to be Payday. They put too much salt on those things nowadays.
Yeah, but
they've changed them.
I used to get rid of the peanuts first and then enjoy the creamy caramel filling.
Yeah, that's a good pick. That's an underrated pick. Andy?
Candy bar? Oh, Three Musketeers.
This must be loaded.
Candy
Really?
bar? Three Musketeers.
Well, Three Musketeers was too mushy.
Bottom
I
tier
ate
for
it
me.
frozen because we had it in like
That's a
a
different deal.
freezer back where I went in the summer and stuff.
Like Baby Ruth.
Used to
Baby
be
Ruth.
a big Baby Ruth guy. Used to be a big Snickers guy. Really
Yeah,
do
I
still
like
like
Snickers,
Snickers.
too.
But guess what? A wise man named George Costanza once told me that Twix are the only candy with the cookie crunch, Tim. Therefore, Twix is the best candy bar because it's so unique. It's the only candy with the cookie crunch.
Where are you going with this? That's what I want to know.
I'm just curious.
Okay.
Just ending the video.
All right.
Look, Tim, I don't
Peppermint patties.
look. The Michael Jordan meme, and I took that
Just want to
person.
say that out loud.
Hey, the Michael Jordan meme that says "and I took that personally."
Yeah.
I got told this week that I'm too serious.
Oh, well, you are.
I can't be.
I mean, I saw you busting that concrete, and we were loading that concrete at your house.
I can't be-
He is taking that way too serious.
I can't be Mr. Serious around here.
By the way, my back still hurts.
So you know what? I'm going to ask about candy bars when I want to ask about candy bars.
Okay.
Because this is a
What's
bold
your
prediction.
favorite Halloween candy? Well, I guess you'll ask that in about 4 weeks.
It's still going to be Twix, I promise.
I like candy corn and those little pumpkin candy corns.
Ryan Day's favorite thing to do is score a lot of points on Mike Loxley. He averages 69.5 points per game in the big horseshoe building over there against Mike Loxley. Not so much on the road, but at home. He gets Mike Loxley at home and he puts him in a chokehold.
Let me ask you a question, because you brought that up the other day, and I've been
It's
wondering-
crazy.
I wanted to get It is odd how certain things carry over.
Yeah.
Even though you're different teams, different players, different defenses, right on down the line. Everything's different a lot of times in college football from 2 years to the next 2 years, And I just find that remarkable because, every time Ohio State goes to Purdue, Ohio State fans, for example, should hold their breath. Because just when you think you know what's going to happen, a windstorm blows in and Ohio State's offense blows out. And
It's like a pokeball with Rondale Moore popping
but
out.
something weird almost always happens at Purdue for Ohio State.
That's
And
next week, Tim. Where are you going
I
with
know,
this?
but my point is the same thing you brought up about the Maryland, dichotomy, about how good Ohio State plays against Maryland here.
Well-
And then over there, they haven't lost to Maryland
It's-
yet, but oh my goodness, did they flirt with it?
In home games here.
And like Andy pointed out, this is the 4th best team in the Big Ten East, in my opinion, this season. This
Yeah.
is the 4th best team.
Maybe
That's
the Big Ten.
that is saying a lot because I think the Big Ten East is the best division in college football. But
Well,
but they still got to get over that hump of playing Ohio State at Ohio State and doing something about it.
and just being respectable, honestly. But it starts at the top with Ohio State. Like Ryan Day, clearly, for whatever reason, we don't have to get into this at all. But for whatever reason,
But it was like that before Ryan Day. Go ahead.
but he onside kicked up like 35 with
Yeah.
Chris Olave in 2019.
Just wanted
He
to try it.
chose to continue throwing the ball in 2021 up 53 to whatever the score was in the third quarter. Like there was no letting up. So I don't expect that on Saturday
By the
either.
way, that may have been pound for pound the greatest executed onside kick in history.
Well, I'm not going to argue with
It was
that
like
'cause
a
we're getting out of
rugby-
here.
It was like an Australian rules football pass. Who was
It was-
the kicker? I can't remember.
It was
now.
Drew Chrisman who actually kicked
yeah.
that.
Threw it, pitched it up in the air like he was throwing it to him. It was unbelievable.
It was pure, unadulterated special teams at its finest. And we will maybe see that on Saturday in the Horseshoe when Ohio State faces Maryland. The Terps versus the Buckeyes, the tortoise versus the hare. The hare being Ohio State and the tortoise being Maryland. But a faster tortoise. If you put turbo on a tortoise, you would have Maryland.
Wouldn't you like to see the tortoise go against Brutus in those big bubble things in between the end of the third quarter
So,
or whenever
yeah.
that happens? That would be.
I do with all the mascots.
I would pay to watch that.
Testudo v. Brutus. A battle.
People stick around just to watch that.
A battle for the ages. Lettermen Row will be there to watch Testudo and Brutus duke it out at midfield. No, that's not going to happen. Ohio State's going to face Maryland on Saturday at noon. If you don't go to the Horseshoe, you can watch it on Fox, but I would suggest going to the Horseshoe for homecoming. Tim May, the 40-year vet, he'll be there. Come say hi to him. If you see him pregame, Andy Backstrom, he'll be there. I'll be there walking in with a nice camera bag and a really cold cup of coffee. I can't wait. It's going to be 58 degrees, the greatest time of the year. Fall football is back. Fall weather is back. And October, the greatest month of the year. We finally made it, folks.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the Horseshoe on Saturday for Ohio State, Maryland. I'm going to stop waxing poetically about the month of October. You can catch that at lettermenrow.com if you want to hear me do it more, though. $1 for 1 month if you've made it this far. We'd love to have you at lettermenrow.com. Andy Backstrom's 40-year vet Tim May. I'm Spencer Holbrook. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow in the Horseshoe.